Okay, fifth grade. Today we are going to be starting our practice worksheet for 1-point perspective. 1-point perspective is a drawing technique that will help your pictures look more three-dimensional. There's 1-point, 2-point, 3-point, 4-point, 5-point. It just keeps going on and it keeps getting harder and harder. So what we're going to do today is just keep it very basic. We're just going to stick with 1 point. We'll start with one shape and we'll move our way into more shapes as the worksheet goes. The worksheet that you have today has two sides. On the front side it has a variety of rectangles with some dots in the centers and squares all over the place. On the back side there is only 6 rectangles with some dots and some squares. So we are actually going to be starting on the side with the most rectangles and squares, and we're going to work our way from the left all the way to the right. What you'll need for this worksheet is just a pencil and a ruler. And for today, all we're going to do is draw our vanishing 1-point lines, and we'll worry about coloring and decorating later on. Starting in our upper left hand corner, we can see inside of our larger rectangle we have a square in the upper left hand corner, and in the lower right hand corner we have the dot. The dots on our practice pages are going to represent what's called a vanishing point. This is very important for any perspective drawings. We need to know where the eye is going to end up finishing as we look off in to the distance. So the vanishing point is where no matter what shape we draw, it's going to be going in that direction because that is the direction that our eye is going. So to start off, we're going to keep it very, very simple. We are just going to have our box going to our vanishing point, and our box has 4 points. So each point is going to just be a connect the dot to our dot in the lower right. To make this first one easier, let's go ahead and make dots on all 4 of our corners. So once you have the dots drawn on all 4 corners of your box, what we're going to do is we're just going to connect the dots with a ruler. Now it's going to be really important that we are drawing as light as possible because some of the lines that we draw today are going to need to be erased, and it's obviously easier to erase our lines if they are light than if we are darker. So my biggest tip of the day is draw light until it's right. So with our ruler, we're going to connect our dots. So I'm going to line up my first dot with my vanishing point. So we're going to call our big black dot the vanishing point. And it's real important that when we are holding a ruler that we're using our hand as wide as possible. A lot of kids like to just hold it where our first dot is, and the problem with that is as we draw, the ruler can move and all of a sudden our lines and our dots are no longer connecting. So we want to make sure that our ruler isn't moving, and one of the ways that I do it is I try to put my thumb to the furthest possible spot and my pointer finger all the way across. That way if the ruler is being pushed, it's going to be held down and we don't have to worry about it moving. So once I have my 2 dots lined up, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to lightly connect with a straight line. So we have a straight line going from the upper right hand corner all the way to our vanishing point. We're just going to move our way around, and I'm going to line up dot number 2 with our vanishing point. Again, putting my thumb towards the vanishing point, my pointer finger towards my square, and I'm going to very lightly connect the two. What's important to notice here before we finish this off is that where our shape is, our lines are further apart, and as it goes into the distance, our lines are going to close in again, causing movement and space, where it's going to look like the box is much closer to us as the dot fades into the background. And that's one of the reasons why perspective drawing is so helpful in giving the illusion of space, like we're looking into something, or space is going further and further back away from us. So we're going to go to dot number 3. We're going to go ahead, line it up, thumb by our vanishing point, pointer finger towards our box. Once we have it lined up, we're going to hold our pencil up and down nice and straight, lightly draw our line, and now we have all the points of our box lined up with our vanishing point. We don't need to worry about this last dot, because if we draw a line from this dot to our vanishing point, technically that would be behind the side of our box and the bottom of our box, so we would never see that line anyways. So what we want to do to finish off this drawing is we don't want to see our box going all the way to our vanishing point. We want our box to just have a side and a bottom and a front. And that's for 1 point perspective. You're going to see 3 sides. To do this, it gets a little tricky because you get to choose how long your box is. So what I want to do is I want to pick how far it is. And the most important part here, and the thing that's going to be hardest for you, is making sure that before you draw your vertical line, that your ruler is lined up and running parallel. So we want the ruler and the line of our square running parallel to each other. There's no way that those two lines could intersect. So we want to make sure that they're both going infinitely along a path that will never touch. So you want to make sure that your ruler is not crooked when you draw this part of the box. So when you think that you have your ruler lined up and you think that your ruler is going vertical with your box, again, draw lightly. Now the next part is super easy because we already know where our horizontal line has to go. Our horizontal line has to touch our vertical line. So with the ruler again, we want to make sure that it's touching our vertical line. And we also want to make sure that it's running parallel to our box. If it's crooked, it's going to look like we made a mistake, and our box will not have right angles. So once you are lined up and once you have parallel lines, you can go ahead, finish off your box. Once you have your front, your side, and your bottom of your cube, you can go ahead and take your eraser, and we're actually going to go ahead and remove our vanish point lines. And if you've been drawing lightly, you can go ahead and redraw the lines that you've made. And this time you can go back and forth a little bit harder. And make sure that your lines are nice and heavy. And easy to see for anybody looking at your artwork. So we have our first cube in 1-point perspective. Our box is fading into our 1 vanishing point. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 more boxes to go, where our box is in the upper left, and then we're going to go ahead and switch and get some practice going from the right to the left, which is the same, but the way you hold your ruler and the direction that you are drawing is going to be different. So for the remaining time on our clock on the smartboard, I just want you working on these boxes. Again, it's not a race. It's not something that is supposed to be finished. What we're working on right now is we're working on making sure that all of our lines are going to the vanishing point. We want to make sure that all of our lines are parallel. The problem with these worksheets that we're having with students is once they've done the first one, they think that they can do the rest of them without paying attention and going quickly, because to them just finishing the worksheet is what we're looking for. And unfortunately in this room we are not asking you to get done, we are asking you to get better. So don't worry about finishing all the boxes. You have the rest of the time to just do the best that you can, not the most that you can. So we're going to go ahead, and for this wave we're going to go ahead and finish these boxes. If you want, I'm going to show you. I'm going to finish them all off, and I'm going to speed the video up just so you understand what we're looking for. And then when the timer goes off, we will switch to the other side of our worksheet, and we'll have videos explaining how to do those before we flip it over.